Good evening and welcome to the Whisky Lover Society with me, Gert Retief. Of course, back home, Belgium, and I arrived back about a week ago. No sun, raining. The last couple of days it's been raining all day long, so I thought it was the end of summertime. A little bit of a sad situation, and then today woke up, sun shining, and I thought this is a perfect opportunity to do a little bit of an outside video. And of course tonight we are talking about 21-year-old whiskey. Now, after my last review of whiskies that's 25 years old, a number of my friends asked, a little bit too expensive for them, maybe tone it down a little bit. So toning it down to 21 years old. And so I went through the collection, went through all the videos that I made with 21-year-old whiskies, and I picked 5 whiskies that I find exceptional and whiskies that I really enjoy. And of course, as a bonus, I did not pick any peated whiskies this time. I think it is good just to start with the ones that did not make the cut on the top 5 for me. One of them I actually poured a little bit of a wheat ram, well, a little bit more than a wheat ram. And of course I will also give a reason why it did not make the cut for my top 5 21-year-old whiskey, but I'll come back to them a little bit later on. So the first one that I would have loved to put on the list on the top 5, of course, is the Hibiki 21-year-old. It's a stunning whiskey. It is something that I would really love to have on the bar, but the only reason that it didn't make the cut for me was just a ridiculous price. If you can find it, it's going to cost you 1,000, maybe even 2,000 euros for the bottle. So for me, that makes it a little bit of a crazy whiskey, something that I've tried once, and it was by pure accident that I got a sample from a guy that I think he didn't know what he had, opened a bottle, gave me a sample. So yeah, if you want to see the video, go look at my homepage and you'll find the video on that and how it happened that I got a sample of a 21-year-old Hibiki. But of course, price-wise, it was a little bit too much for me. The next one that just didn't make the cut for me was the Tom and Tell 21. A little bit disappointed on the nose, a little bit disappointed on the taste. Not bad whiskey, but I think there is so much better 21-year-old whiskeys on the market today. So that one also just missed the cut. And of course, the one that I have in the glass, the 21-year-old Knock and Do. Now, the reason that it didn't make the cut for me is the nose. I was so disappointed in the nose. It's got almost zero aromas coming out. There's a little bit of a funky note coming out. It's a little bit like chlorine, a little bit like swimming pool water. That little stale, dusty note that came out. And that for me was not nice. But when you taste it, a complete different whiskey. So the nose is definitely not promising anything, but the taste, oh my word, it is quite nice. And for that reason, this one did not make the cut, but pleasant on the taste as well. So getting back to my list of 5 21-year-old whiskies, in no particular order, I'm going to start off with a 21-year-old Balvenie. Now, there's a couple of subscribers that I know that will be quite happy for me to do a little bit of a 21-year-old Balvenie. So many comments over the last couple of years saying that I need to talk about Balvenie more. And when I go to all the duty-free shops and there's a Balvenie, there's always 1 or 2 people commenting, get the 16, get the 15. Well, tonight we're talking about the Balvenie 21-year-old podcast finish. bottled at 40% ABV. And of course it is ex-bourbon cask, and it is finished in a port cask. Not sure how long the finish is, maybe a couple of months, maybe 7-8 months, not 100% sure on that. It is of course chill filtered at 40% ABV, and it is natural color. So quite an interesting whiskey, and I think this is one of the first whiskies that I tasted with a nice age statement. And if you look at the nose profile, it is sweet, it's concentrated, it's Christmas cake in a glass. You have, well, the one thing that you do need to do with a 21-year-old is give it a little bit of time in a glass just to open up and release all that fantastic aromas. It's fruity, there is dates, there's figs, there's a little bit of a caramel sauce, there's a little bit of a nutty influence in it, a little bit of a pecan nut pie. Oh, I do like a pecan nut pie. Not allowed to touch it anymore, but that is one of my favorite desserts many years ago. There's a hint of a chocolate note coming out, there's a little bit of an oaky note coming out, there's a little bit of a spiciness coming out, there's vanilla coming out, there's fresh green apples coming out, and of course the nose is just crazy intense, friendly, drinkable. On the taste, you have a nice sweet honey note, you have a hint of an oaky tannin coming through, and of course we expect that for 21-year-old whiskey stuck in a barrel, so there always will be a little bit of a oakiness coming out. You have a dried fruit component, you have that Christmas cake in a glass note, there's a little bit of an orange note, there's a little bit of a caramel note, there's a little bit of a spicy heat note, there's that oaky component in it. Absolutely fantastic. So that is my number one 21-year-old whiskey. Moving on to number two. For my number two, there's no way that any list can be complete without an Aaron 21. Now this is of course ex-sherry cask, 100% matured in a sherry cask, but 500 liters. Price, I think you can still get it for about 150 euros. I'm not 100% sure about that. That is what I paid not so long ago for it. So 46% ABV, natural color, non-chill filtered, so they are really ticking all the boxes. Now if we go into the taste, of my word, the taste is never a wrong Aaron whiskey. I think all of them that I've tasted over the last couple of years, it's something that really resonates with me. It's something that I really can enjoy, and I think a lot of people will definitely agree with me. Aaron does make fantastic whiskey. So definitely there's a light, fresh, fruity notes coming out. That sherry influence is definitely there. A little bit of a vanilla, that dried fruits, a little bit of a caramel, a little bit of an English toffee note coming out. Dark red apples, pears, cinnamon. Oh my word, it is really nice on the nose. And of course there's really a little bit of a Christmas cake feeling to this whiskey. One that I could spend hours just on the nose and finding that little bit of extra nuances in the whiskey. So on the taste, on the 21-year-old Aaron, it is lovely. It is sweet, it's rich, it's creamy, it's friendly, it's drinkable. It is just something that is lovely, that a little bit of a caramel, salted chocolate note coming out, and it's got a little bit of an oak note, just to tone that sweetness a little bit down. Really a fantastic whiskey, and something that I would encourage you, if you have the bucks, go try it out. Number 3 on my list, and this is a whiskey. I've also included this one in the 25-year-old category, the Glenfarclas 21. It is a fantastic drinker, and it has got a fantastic price. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they manage to keep the costs so low. Maybe they don't spend so much on the advertising. they do make the whiskey do the talking for them, and definitely it does some great talking for them. So natural color, non-chill filtered, 46% ABV, cost around €100. Can you imagine paying €100 for a 21-year-old whiskey? Absolutely a stunning price and a stunning whiskey. For me, Glenfarclas is all nose-friendly whiskies. This one, no exception. It is lovely, soft. It's sherry. It's that dried fruit component, that Christmas cake. Again with the Christmas cake, and it's only August. I'm thinking Christmas cake already. It's got that dark chocolate note component to it. It's got that trail mix, that dried fruit with the nuts, the chocolate notes. You put it in your mouth, and it just gives you that lovely sweetness, and every now and again you bite into a chocolate piece. Oh, absolutely fantastic. There's also a hint of an apple cider note that I pick up, not always, every now and again, that little bit of an apple cider note, and a little bit of a strange one, and not always, I get a hint of a buttered popcorn note. Oh my word, that is nice. On the taste, a little bit of a surprise. I thought it's going to be much sweeter on the taste, but it was not. The sweetness is a nice, light, subtle sweetness. Drinks a little bit stronger than that 40% ABV. I was a little bit surprised on that. But that butterscotchy note, you have a dried fruit note, you have a oily note to it, a creamy note to it, you have a little bit of a hint of an oak, and I was surprised with just a hint of an oak. So perfect, just to balance everything out nicely, and definitely a whiskey that I would recommend for you. Number 4 on my list. Now this is going to be a little bit of a surprise. It's going to be the only blended whiskey that I have, and I could not resist. This is definitely a whiskey that I enjoyed, and I bought a bottle a couple of years ago, paid only €68 for it, and I was super excited. And it's one of those whiskies that ended up on the bar, never opened it. I always feel sorry for opening up a bottle of whiskey that is that old, and I first got an opportunity to try it on Emirates, and they graciously upgraded me to first class, with me, and I got to try the Royal Salute 21 as well as the Johnny Walker Blue Label. I also have a video if you want to go check it. Oh, what lovely stuff. So for me, 40% ABV, it didn't matter. Chill filtered, this one, it did not matter. For me, it was all about the bottle, the look of the bottle, the look of a box. It's like a crow to something shiny. I just couldn't resist, so I was quite happy to pick it up. Prices has gone up considerably, so yeah, you're going to pay a little bit of bucks for this one. It is blended, but of course it is a Royal Salute. So on the taste, of course, it is sweet, it is vanilla, it's toffee, it's butterscotch, it's a little bit of a buttered popcorn note for me, it's raisins, it's apples, it's a little bit of a maraschino cherry notes coming out. There's a stunningly complex whiskey for me. Now I know a lot of people are going to tell me, are you crazy? It's blended, but for me this is really a nice one on the nose. I love the flavors, aromas coming out, and of course on the taste, it's sweet, it's nutty, it's toffee, it's caramel, it's spicy, it's oaky, all of those lovely notes coming out. 21 years old at a good price. Oh my word, who can resist that? Now the last one, number 5 on my list, and that's something that I can never bypass. And what's strange about this one, I think there's a lot of people that have never even heard of this distillery, which for me may be a good thing, because I think if it picks up and people are starting to talk about it, people are starting to buy it. Well, they first started talking about this whiskey in the online Scotch Whisky Awards. I'm talking about Glencadam and the 10-year-old Glencadam. After that, whiskey awards, the prices started going up because I think a lot of people realize this, well, there's something in the Glencairn distillery that needs investigation. And of course, with investigation, there's a lot of people starting buying it, and of course the prices will go up. So this video, I don't have that many followers, so I'm not sure I'm going to influence the price, but the Glencairn 21-year-old 46% ABV, natural color, non-chill filtered. Price, I've got no idea what the price is going to be now. It is matured in ex-bourbon. Now, all of my whiskies had a little bit of that sherry influence. Today and now we are talking about the ex-bourbon cask. Now, I never really pursued ex-bourbon cask whiskies, but ever since I found this Glencairn, it became a little bit of a priority for me to buy some ex-bourbon cask, and the flavors that they get out of it for me is just fantastic. So a little bit of a disclaimer, I am a Glencairn fanboy. Also the Tom and Tell, that did not make the list, the 21-year-old, but for me this Glencairn is just fantastic. So definitely, it's much lighter than the previous whiskies. There's that light fruity components, there's a little bit of a floral note, there's a little bit of a perfumey note coming out. That it is a light whiskey. It is, even the alcohol has got that lightness to it, that perfumey note, that not in your face type of alcohol note. There's red apple notes coming out, there's peaches coming out, there's a little bit of a dried apricot coming out. I get a little bit of a caramel note, I get a little bit of a vanilla note, I get a little bit of a butterscotchy note, and it is just lovely light summer whiskey for me. So on the taste, of course, we have it's sweet, it's drinkable, it's friendly, but not overly sweet for me. It is just a perfect sweetness. It's got no oaky tannins to it. There's a little bit of a peppery, spicy note coming out. There's some nice, lovely fruity notes coming out. That vanilla is coming out. A little bit of a butterscotch note is coming out. Even a little bit of a light honey note coming out. So definitely a typical ex-bourbon cask note that you will pick up. So that is my list of my top 5, plus a couple of additional ones. What is your favorite 21-year-old? Now I still have the 21-year-old knock and do. And if you leave it a little bit in the glass and you give it a little bit of time, this is now been maybe half an hour. And it's definitely, there is a little bit of an opening up going on. It's a little bit more flavors or aromas coming out on the nose, but it is still a lot subdued. It's definitely not talking to me through the nose. With a little bit of agitation also doesn't do anything for it, but flavor wise, it's a perfect sipper. I think it can be quite a dangerous one, especially sitting in near the afternoon sun. It can be a little bit dangerous, but it is nice and it is affordable. I think that is the main thing. Unfortunately, it didn't make the list. So thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, share the video, and share a little bit of love, and see you next time. Cheers.